everybody. Come on, everybody. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you. Good. It's a great day. A little windy, but calling this meeting to order. This is the regular board meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Canopy Independent School District. Today is May 24th, 2022. The time is 5:12 p.m. And let me see. Who do we have in the audience? Do we have, how about, I know we have some mothers in the audience, and we just had Mother's Day a few weeks ago. Could a few of the mothers come up here and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Teddy? And a grandma. Any grandmas? How about grandmas? Come on up here, ladies. Come on up here. Okay. Face the flag and start.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now to the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Thank you, ladies. Okay.
If there's any service members,
Yes.
maybe we could give a round of applause.
Yeah, do we have any service members here in the audience? Please stand. All right. Will be next Monday.
They're the reason we live in the land.
And you know what? I just heard some really distressing news earlier this afternoon, and I'd like a moment of silence. We had a okay, apologize. Really sad. Really sad. Um, I can't get over this. Jessica, could you please call roll?
Mr. Coronado,
Here.
Mr. Hernandez,
Here.
Ms. Mendoza,
Here.
Mr. Payan,
You called in, you won't be making it today.
Mr. Rodriguez,
You also called in,
Earl, here, and Ms. Bell.
she also called in.
Okay, that takes us to the CISD vision and mission statements. Mr. Hernandez and Ms. Mendoza, would you care to read those for us?
Yes, sir, be happy to. The Canopio Independent School District Vision Statement. Canopio ISD is the premier district. We lead today to positively impact tomorrow.
And the mission, Canopio ISD supports and embraces diversity in a multicultural society. Our school community thrives in a safe, engaging, inclusive learning environment. We provide equitable opportunities to ensure our future-ready students are inspired to explore, learn, grow, and excel.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hernandez and Ms. Mendoza. That takes us next to agenda items. Jessica.
Agenda item number 2, board honors. License review.
Isa, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Board President, Coronado, members of the board, Dr. Galaviz. Please join us in front of the dais to begin our monthly board recognitions. Tonight we welcome some of our Northwest Early College High School recent grads and soon-to-be Canopio High School grads, along with their families who have supported them throughout their high school journey. These students have been awarded scholarship through our partners the Garofio Alumni Foundation for Education, CAFE, for their academic efforts or service to their community or campus. These scholarships will help them move forward to pursue their college degrees. Now, I'd like to pass it over to one of the CAFE members, Ms. Jessica Bernal.
I have some members, if they would like to join me in the front as well, please. Cafe members, thank you. All of us are here today. I would like to apologize on behalf of Armando Rodriguez, who was not feeling well today, so he was not able to join us. But many of you know who Cafe is, but some do not. This is a foundation that was started back in 2004, and since then, they have awarded over $160,000 and over 200 students. These scholarships have been provided in giving to the students thanks to the community, to the community sponsors that we have, to the alumni, and also to staff and faculty that give through their payroll deductions simply because they all are proud of you and believe in the Canopio District students. So good job. This year, the Lerma family had generously sponsored scholarships for the three deserving students in memory of their beloved Carlos Burrito Lerma, who was a student and talent member of the basketball team in Canopio High School. His memory will live while supporting the future of these bright students. Thank you, Lerma family, for your support. And would you all like to invite us in the front and join us in the front? Thank you. First of all, I want to acknowledge all the hard work to all of the recipients. Um, Not only your hard work, your dedication in not only high school, but the years to come in college. Um, this scholarship that we did in memory of our son, um, with the heavy heart that I say this, he passed away last year in October. Um, However, as I say this, you know, Cafe and the district are something awesome, and we've been focusing on trying to do more for the community. Why? Because our son attended Canopillo. He loved the teachers, loved the school. And so this is our way to keep a little bit of that memory with all of you recipients as you go on and you make bigger and better decisions and you have those great memories in college. So, you know, I want to thank you personally, my family, for allowing us to do this for you, for allowing us to be here today. And as you guys go on to college, you know, just treasure every moment that you have there. Create memories, you know, talk to people, create new friends, because all of that, as you get older, you look back on all those memories and don't ever say, oh, I'm not going to try that. Try it. If you don't like it, move on. Why? Because all of those memories are going to make you who you are. And again, I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank the board, Cafe, the district for everything they have done. Um, because of everything that all of you guys have done and everything that you've reached out, messages, that is truly helping us cope through all of these things. And we're glad to be here, and it's such a beautiful day for you guys. So thank you very much. Thank you, Lerma family. And we'll always, Carlos' memory will always live with us. So this marks the largest group of students to receive scholarships through CAFE. Congratulations to each of you and good luck in your future journey.
We will start today's awards with the students that received the Carlos Burrito Lerva Memorial Scholarship. When I call your name, please come up and receive your certificate. Amber Herrera from Canutillo High School.
Ma'am, can I get you to, thank you. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. And we're getting maybe 2 levels for the photos?
There's three of us, we'll do all three on all set together.
Yes. Okay.
Victoria Rubio from Canutillo High School. And Jordan Sanchez from Northwest Early College High School.
Now three of you get up front here and take a picture.
Hold on, just 1 second. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Congratulations. Thank you. And now for our cafe recipients. Elizabeth Aguirre from Canutillo High School. Saul Amaya from Canutillo High School. Daphne Areola from Northwest Early College. Isabella Bejarano from Northwest Early College. Hannah Brown from Northwest Early College. Lindsay Carrillo from Northwest. Damian Carranza from Northwest Early College. Gabrielle Chavez from Northwest Early College. Isaiah Chavez, Canutillo High School. Abraham Israel Cuevas, Northwest Early College. Northwest Early College. Brianna Gutierrez, Northwest Early College. From Northwest College, Early College, Kimberly Hernandez. Also from Northwest Early College, Hannah Ibarra. Jonathan Marquez, Northwest Early College High School. Alondra Monroy, Northwest Early College. Sofia Montenegro, Northwest Early College. Astrid Ochoa, Canutillo High School. Lillian Hernandez Peregrino, Northwest Early College High School. Jeremiah Ramos, Canutillo High School. Servando Alonso Renteria III, Northwest Early College High School. Brianna Rizzo, Canutillo High School. Juan Diego Rodriguez, Northwest Early College. Marlene Saldana, Canutillo High School. Tatiana Saldana, Canutillo High School. Sandip Sain, Canutillo High School. Ariana Triana, Canutillo High School. Diego Cepeda, Northwest Early College High School. And the recipient of the Familia Fernan Scholarship for Volunteerism is Anissa Mendez from Canutillo High School. Congratulations to all of you.
You guys could move sideways like this.
Yeah. Ready? Don't move, okay? 1 second. Hold it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you guys. Good luck on your studies. Make sure you make them proud and come back and see us after you become doctors, lawyers, and such. You know what? I do want to kind of just mention a little bit about our cafe membership. We started this and we have a few of the founding members in the audience. Mr. Martinez, stand up. One of the founding members, Mr. Rodriguez, who is on the board, is not with us. Also is a founding member. I'm a founding member. But I'll tell you what, really got my hats off to somebody who joined our organization a few years ago and had just really taken the bull by the horns and really helped us quite a bit. And she just tirelessly works for the organization. Jessica, stand up. All right. Yeah, what a great group of kids, and it really, it really moves me that our organization has grown to be able to do this much for our kids. So it just makes me happy. Anybody? Comments? All right. Is there any want to comment? And of course, Mr. Hernandez is a former recipient of the Cafe Scholarship. Look what he's doing. All right. That takes us to the next agenda item. Jessica.
Item number 3, open forum. We do not have any speakers.
All right. Nobody signed up today? Okay. Well, I wish somebody had signed up today. It's just like really a happy occasion. Graduation. We have all these scholarships we gave out. And, oh, Bernardo?
Yes, sir, thank you. Lord, let me speak for me. Some of us didn't know the time change. It wasn't 72 hours? Yeah, it was just barely changed on us.
If you want to sign up and come up, we'd let you do that.
Yes, sir, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Real quick.
Sure, thank you.
Let you speak. We'll let you speak real quick.
Thank you. Totally be active with my community.
All right, you got 3 minutes.
Yeah, thank you for letting us sign up. Appreciate it. It's just a few things I want to mention. Deferred maintenance. I'd like to add to deferred maintenance, of course, multi-purpose buildings for safety and security. I'm sure, of course, we need those. Also, a little bit on public housing. You know, brings in crime and lowers property values. This is not my opinion. It's there's studies on it. And plus, County Jail doesn't have a proper police department. Also, would like to have all your teachers for the elementary schools, at least fourth through fifth graders, maybe roving art teachers, not a permanent art teacher. And also, what a great job our teachers, staff, administration, school board this year. It's awesome. But if I was to talk to my wife, she would know. But if there was something negative about what happened in Cantu, she would know. I think we should be more proactive in getting the positive information out there in the community. Maybe like a newsletter. This year I found out our teachers, staff, they got grants. I don't know if you know about them, but they were awesome. Awesome. That was to be celebrated. And also the Tennessee website, the payment processing there is when you go in there, it says not secure. I would never, even if it takes you to a different website, I still wouldn't process the payment through there. That's another thing. And also, the reason I'm bringing this stuff up, you know, there's going to be the school voucher program, so I'm bringing up the newsletter so we can tell people about our accomplishments. The best way to reach the people is through text messages and email. Now, if the governor is reelected, he's going to push the school voucher program, so we need to watch out for that. Also, there's 5 million students as of now are being homeschooled, so we got to be aware of that also. And we got to watch out for the food. There's going to be food shortages. Hopefully, it won't affect everyone, but there's going to be food shortages in America, so we want to keep an eye on that for this upcoming next year. Also, fresh food, making food fresh is a lot cheaper than buying frozen food that you just reheat for the kids. You go to the elementary schools, forget about it. The food it's reheated. But no, thank you for letting me sign up for such late comment. I appreciate you listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Welcome, Ms. Burns.
Hi, thank you for allowing me to speak. I appreciate it because I got here about 5:15, thinking the meeting started at 5:30. So maybe we need to, I don't know, if there's a different way we can get out to the community that meeting times have changed, that would be greatly appreciated. Because it does still say on the website 5:30 today, just so you know. I'm coming today with concern about just safety and security because of the horrible event that happened today. It hits close to home, of course, a small community like ours, and I know that we still have campuses that do not have police officers at them all the time. We have rotating officers or security guards, and we do need to make sure that our kids are safe at all times. And so I am going to ask here openly that we reinstate our safety and security committee, that we've asked for meetings to be held on that. I'm part of that committee, and I would like to continue to be part of that committee. We have asked for more meetings to be held on that and received no response. I believe we're supposed to have 2 of those a year, and we haven't had one since last August, I believe it is. So we need to make sure that the community is staying involved and that we are being heard and that everything is going through its processes that it should be, so that our kids are protected and we can make sure that some horrific act like this does not happen here. Secondly, there are quite a few things that are happening that I've been hearing throughout the community of some types of hate speech that are going on that needs to be addressed. So please get out to your administrators, get out to your teachers, and make sure that these issues are being addressed. I don't want to address anything in particular, but just so that you guys are aware, in case you didn't already know, we need to make sure that all of our students inside of our community feel safe and feel appreciated and loved inside of their classroom, not only by their teachers and their administrators, but by their fellow colleagues and peers as well. So thank you for that. Thank you for letting us speak, and have a blessed night. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. President, Board of Trustees, Mr. Superintendent, Senator Martinez. member of this community. What happened in Uvalde is brings a lot of sadness to our eyes. Mr. Superintendent, you made a comment this before the meeting got started, but one of the things that I think we need to be aware of is that we recently failed to pass a bond issue, and some of that money that was allocated for that specific site improvements for every campus, he did not was not approved by the voters. So I think we need to go out there and talk to the people that are voting our community that we need their help. It happened in Texas, not too far from El Paso, Uvalde, Texas. We all been there. Let's make it a point to address some of those issues. Deferred maintenance, we need to secure our buildings. We need to secure our campuses. We need to secure our kids. It's very sad when in elementary that many kids died in a single campus. God forbid that it happens in Canutillo. And all of us would be very sad and very disappointed that we could not find the voters to pass that bond issue for us to address all security issues for every single campus. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Martinez. All right, that's everybody, right? All right, then that takes us to the next agenda item.
Item number four, executive session to consult with attorney under 551.071, 551.072, and 551.070 of the Texas Government Code. Item 4A, discussion and recommendation of revocation resignation pursuant to Texas Government Code section 551.070. Time is 5:45.
9:45?
5:45.
It just feels
Feels
that
like
way.
it.
Next agenda item is item 6, consent agenda, administration recommends approval as presented.
All right. Ms. Earl.
I want to thank Dr. Galaviz and staff. All the questions I asked were answered and answered very well. But one I still have a question on, or actually a correction on, and it's B1 small b, the approval of the March 22nd, 2022 regular board meeting minutes. And it's very small what I
So it's item,
B1 and then little b.
B1B?
B1B.
Okay. All right. We will pull agenda item B1B from the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of that one item.
I'd like to move to approve the consent agenda as presented with the exception of B1 little b.
All right. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right. Jessica?
Mr. Corral?
Yes.
Mr. Hernandez?
Yes.
Ms. Mendoza?
Yes.
And Ms. Earl?
Yes.
Ms. Earls?
So B1B is the approval of the March 22nd regular board meeting. And we apparently, it, there was a lack of communication. But what I'd like to correct is we had a presentation on our culinary program, and it was presented that Ms. Castillo, our teacher, had not gotten her safe serve certification, I guess, her certificate. And indeed, she sent to the board where she did pass her test. And we got this in a Thursday packet where she had done that. And so I'd like to have that corrected. It was, I believe Mr. Forrest gave a presentation, and it was just a matter of that he didn't give her credit where credit was due.
Well, that's what was said in the minutes. Whether it was true or not is a different issue.
So, well,
But we understand what the position is regarding that, and maybe we can have an item on there if you would like to.
no, I don't think
Discuss
she,
that.
it was just that she requested an amendment to the presentation delivered by the CTE at the March board meeting. And it was in our Thursday packet.
Now, we can amend the presentation, that's fine, but the minutes, I think, minutes would be only if there's a correction reflected in the minutes or not?
You know, that's a really good question.
Why don't we listen to the minutes for that, and go back? Because I think he did say she did pass it, right? I don't know if that Corinne, Ms. Rocha, call that.
She didn't pass it on the first try, is I think what he was communicating, but she did eventually pass it.
And it looks like she passed it a bunch of times too. So that was my concern, that she hadn't been represented accordingly. And whatever we need to do, just for the record that I brought it up in maybe a next month.
Yeah, well, we can certainly take a look at that. You guys will take a look at it, listen to the minutes and see what the recording, and then bring it back to us if we need to do.
And with that, Mr. Coronado, I'd like to approve the March 22nd regular board meeting minutes.
Move to approve.
Yes, sir.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion and second, agenda item B1B. Jessica?
Mr. Coronado?
Yes.
Mr. Hernandez?
Yes.
Yes.
And Ms. Rocha?
Yes. And if we could look into straightening that out. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Ms. Rose. Next agenda item.
Item number 7, Board of Trustee Business. 7A, discussion and recommendation of administration to non-renew the term contract of Kenneth Cooper.
Mr. Blanco and Ms. Carrasco.
Thank you, Board President Coronado, members of the board, Dr. Delegate. I'll handle this. And at the last meeting, we went through the proposed non-renewal and recommendation from the administration to non-renew the term contract of Mr. Cooper. Appropriate notice was issued on April 28th, 2022. It was sent certified mail and attempted by hand delivery. Certified mail was issued to the last provided address that was given to the district by Mr. Cooper. It's his obligation to keep that updated. I will, for the purpose of the record, indicate that he did not pick up the certified letter, but the statute in the education code requires only that you address it to the last provided address, and an attempt is made. That attempt was made timely. There's a 15-day period for Mr. Cooper to request a review of the proposal, and the recommendation of the administration has passed. And no request for a review of that proposed recommendation has been made, and so at this time, the administration is recommending that the board take final action on the recommendation to non-renew the term contract with Kenneth Cooper, and to issue the required and appropriate notices of that final action after this meeting, provided the board votes to approve that recommendation.
All right. Then, do I hear a motion?
I so moved.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second on agenda item A to 7A, right? Yes. To non-renew the term contract of Mr. Kenneth Cooper. Any further discussion from the board? Hearing none, Jessica?
Mr. Coronado?
Yes.
Mr. Hernandez?
Yes.
Ms. Mendoza?
Yes.
And Ms. Rose?
No.
All right, that takes us to the next agenda item.
Item 7B, 2023 budget update.
Mr. Karski, Ms. Cooley, give us some good news.
Good evening, City Coronado, board members, Dr. Delegate. I'm going to give you a quick update on our current status as far as we're projecting our revenues and our expenditures for this upcoming school year. The presentation that you have before you, we did amend one of the slides, so you have a paper copy in front of you. And it's just a this is only addressing the general fund. So first we wanted to give you some projections. One of our larger funding sources is of course state revenue. And one of the items that drives that revenue is our enrollment and as well as our attendance rate. So we wanted to just present to you the different scenarios that we're presenting. Back in March, we presented some projections of revenues for the upcoming school year, and we based those projections on 93%. COVID was still rapid. We didn't know what TA was going to do with the whole harvest. So we presented it at 93%, a conservative number. But as we reevaluate the year and as it has been progressing, we updated our projection to about 95%. So this is pre-COVID, we were at 95.81. And in this last 3 months, we've averaged about 94.7. So we're hoping to improve that attendance rate in the upcoming school year. But we also wanted to present some goals. I think 96% is very much attainable with just putting out some incentive for students, and just so that everybody recognizes the importance of attending school, not only academically, but also the financial impact that it has. We also presented 97 and 98%. Those are some goals and some numbers and how revenues were changed. From going just from 95 to 96, based on our previous projection, we would increase our revenue by $1.1 million.
You're thinking that the 95 we can hit?
I think that that's a very attainable goal. Pre-COVID, we were at 95.8, almost at 96. So I think it's very much attainable for the upcoming school year. Hopefully,
how's it looking in the projection for our early kids?
Those numbers are always a little lower. Their attendance rates are always lower, but of course this takes the average of the entire district into account.
I do have a question. Have we bought some bicycles or something for the, it looks to be have some money set aside? I mean, you know, perfect attendance, stickers, but something.
We did, I did present this to cabinet, so we did talk about maybe some kind of incentives for students to be able to, to just have that goal as well in mind, about doing perfect attendance, some kind of rewards for the campuses, just some way to incentivize.
So we have a plan to?
Yes, well we've talked about it, how we can market that out there to give that incentive to our students to attend.
Bicycles are good.
On the next slide is the different budget scenarios that we are proposing. We know that raises and compensation is following this presentation, so we just wanted you all to have information available to you. The first budget scenario, which is assuming a 95% attendance rate, and I would just like to disclose that this is based on information available at the time this was presented, which was prepared, which was about a week ago. We do have a new funding template which I need to go through. So these numbers could change some, but they're our best estimate or best crystal ball available. So if we don't present a rate, we still would be in a deficit of 336. However, that would probably be manageable. We could probably do some cuts in certain areas. And if we also have three other proposals based on a 2 and a 1% raise. The 2% raise would be for teachers, a 1% for all other staff. And this would create a deficit of 953 based on our projected revenues. The other scenario is a 3% and a 2%, 3% for teachers, instructional, and 2% for others. And this would create a $1.7 million deficit. And the other scenario presented is also a 4% compensation package across the board, which would present a 2.4% deficit. Just to keep in mind that these scenarios do not have any increases for anticipated increases in expenditures for the upcoming school years. During our budgeting process, we do have a needs assessments that we go through with departments and campuses. So there are additional needs that need to be addressed as well for the upcoming school year that are not part of these numbers. So some ways to possibly facilitate addressing the need for these raises. could be for using, of course, a fund balance. But this is one-time expenditure. This is a one-time funding source for recurring expenditures. Currently, we are projecting that we will have 4 days of excess fund balance available for the upcoming school year. That's about $730,000. And your next item is we also have ESSER funding. ESSER 3 funding, we received about $10 million in funding. Of course, this is to address learning loss. One way that we have identified as possibly funding these raises would be to address it through any unused funds in ESSER. Most of these funds were allocated to salaries to help with instruction, to help in tutoring and intervention. However, it's been difficult to find and fill those positions and to find the available staff. So we do have $1.3 million that's currently earmarked for those salaries. However, those positions are still vacant and have not been filled. We also have $1.1 million that is available that has not been earmarked as of yet for a designated purpose. So with that, that would be about a little close to 1.4 million. I'm sorry, 2.4. That could possibly fund these raises, but again, just to stress, one-time funding or recurring expenses on the raises. And we just wanted to present to you just a brief overview of where we are right now with our revenues. I mean, if you have any questions for Mr. Karski.
Anybody have any questions for Martha?
I just want to add that we're also looking for the, as Christy said, we have a list of requests from the departments and campuses that we normally have that, and as additional funding comes in, we normally fund those. But what's not in here is facilities, other facilities, and so that is also on the table this year since with the non-passage of the bond, the roofing situation remains, and so we did tell everyone that it was going to take us a little bit longer to get those repairs done because we're going to have to do it out of maintenance and operations rather than through INS. So that's another consideration.
Okay. If we hit that 95% without using any other funds, we're going to have a deficit period, right?
At 95, there's a deficit, but not at 96. And so we did talk about how 95 is, the district's already hit that in the past.
Well, what is your recommendation that we project for the funds that the state's going to send us? Are we going to tell them it's 96 or 95?
I like 96. And to issue a little bit of a challenge to the other side of the house to try and get that participation, that attendance up.
Where are we at right now in attendance, Marty, for this year, right now?
This year was,
if you have.
Before pandemic, we were at 95.7. Can we make 96? Absolutely. I think when coming back, but remember this year we had Omicron. We had the attendance that went to 80%, so this year is a hard one. But coming back, in the years past, we've been at 95.7, not been, if we push that extra thing and tell people we need raises, we need to get everybody all butts and seats. I hate to say it that way, but we need to. We need to talk to our pre-K parents. They follow under the same attendance, mandatory attendance like everybody else, and we just educate people. I believe with Ms. Pikarski that we'll meet the 96%. I think sometimes we've been very conservative, and so I think we would make the 96%. I don't think it's too far off. If we were 95.7 in the past, you're only 0.3% off. So this year, it's just hard to say, Mr. Coronado, because we've had some hard months when schools were below 90%, which is unheard of in districts in Texas, but that was due in the months of January and February when Omicron really hurt us.
All right.
Also, it's not just about the money, it's about the learning loss and everything that they're going through.
try and incorporate that. We don't want to lose it again by absenteeism.
So that's why I wouldn't want to touch the ESSER funds if we're going to use them for that, right?
Well, but right now, as we said, these are excess funds. These funds right now that Ms. Foley was talking about don't have it.
Dr. Jones?
And correct me if these are, there's a time limit on these.
Yes. I want to say 2024. Try this one. It'll be available for next year.
They'll be available for next year for remediation.
Under the current rules, if they don't get extended.
What's difficult in our region is that everyone's looking for ESSER position. And not many people want to work, in 1 year, 2 years, so it's hard really, especially, some of the positions, the same, you only have.
Yeah, and I wanted to say that every ESSER position that was funded for this year will continue to be funded for next year. So all the science lab aides, all the kinder aides that we hired, those people we're going to continue on. But the ones that we could never hire, it's been a whole year and they've not been able to hire. And I think we're both in agreement that we don't want to give any of that money back. We want to spend it. If we need to spend it this way, then we do it this way. We've got to find a way to help our employees at this time.
That's fine, but Martha, tell me what would be the negative on our review from our rating agencies if we project 96 and we don't hit it?
They don't really look at it.
They don't look at that?
Now they're looking at whether or not we hit our budget numbers. And I mean, we always hit it.
In other words, if we say we're going to do 96, we don't hit 96, so we get a deficit. Doesn't that?
Well, it does. It's not that clear cut. If let's say we don't hit our attendance, and maybe we'll get extra students, and so maybe that will balance out. Because we are still looking at that. We're still looking at the growth. We're still expecting additional students to start showing up at some point. So just because we don't hit our attendance doesn't mean we're necessarily going to hit a deficit.
Yeah, I don't know about using the fund balance, but the ESSER funds, really.
And then, as Ms. Foley said, she's got a new funding template. I mean, they continue to do that, and this is once again a legislative year, so we have to keep that in mind as well. We don't really know what the calculation is going to be yet.
Okay. So then maybe we can, what's your mid-June, another presentation?
Well, the board, at the June board meeting, we'll be bringing the full budget.
Y'all don't want to pick it up the meeting beforehand? No? Please?
Traditionally do raises so that we can get everything settled, get the and all that process. So usually the raises May, but
Okay. So, Ms. Searles.
So it looks like if we gave the 3% raise, it'd be like $1,153,000 if we could, $1,153,153,000 if we could get to 96%. And so we'd only be lacking like $652,000, which could come from the ESSER funds if we can get our 96%.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so your question was, at 96, we can do the 3%?
Right, if we go up to 96, based on this slide, that shows us an additional 1.1 million, 1.153. And so she is comparing that to the next slide.
Right.
3.2 is at 1.7 deficit.
So I just,
So So that would be a deficit, so.
Right, but she's saying that we could
Use the ESSER
use
fund.
600,000 out of ESSER to fund that.
I have another question. That's it, 3 and 2. What if it were 3 across the board? Well, just so we know how much money we can.
I'm gonna call a lifeline. I don't know if we looked into that. That money.
I think we're gonna discuss that, right, Martha? Next?
Yes, sir.
Right, because ours is just an update. There's no action on the budget.
Okay, why don't we take it up with Martha? All right, any other questions for Ms. Foley and Mr. Persky? No? Okay, thank you. Now, next agenda. Oh,
Christine, speak.
Yes, sir.
yeah.
Item 7C, discussion and possible action regarding the 2022-2023 compensation review.
Okay, I think we have some individuals on this agenda.
Board President, we do have, bus drivers that would like to speak on behalf of raises. Come up here, sir. Make sure our kids get to school every day safe.
Good afternoon, members. Our main speaker she's sick, so I needed your permission to make my presentation in Spanish. Would be that possible? Yeah? Sure. Are you sure? Vengo a platicarles que la situación de nosotros los choferes de Cantillo es muy complicada en nuestras casas, se ha convertido en algo a veces hasta trágico. Hemos perdido, dice las noticias que es el 7% de inflación. Nosotros estamos viendo, calculando casa por casa, que hemos perdido el poder adquisitivo en nuestros ingresos en un 40%. La cosa está muy complicada. La petición que nosotros le pedimos al board es que apruebe una consideración que se someta a voto, un incremento justo, un ajuste a nuestros ingresos, que en realidad refleje lo que es la situación que está ahorita en la calle. Yo sé que los números no son buenos, nuestro problema no es sencillo, necesita talento. Yo estoy viendo mucho talento aquí con ustedes enfrente y confiamos mucho en ustedes, haciendo cálculos para nosotros tener el poder adquisitivo que teníamos antes. Tenemos que andar de los 17 ir a 22 horas en la hora. Yo sé que es complicado, pero por ejemplo otros CISDs han hecho, ya se dieron cuenta de la situación con nosotros y también ya se dieron cuenta de la escasez de choferes que hay allá afuera. Por ejemplo, el FASO CISD ya hizo un ajuste del 35% para los bus drivers. Y por ejemplo, Anthony anda ya por 20, ahora como mínimo para empezar el bus drivers. Esa es mi propuesta. Es que se considere un ajuste que, si es posible, entre para el siguiente mes, se ponga en consideración. Y otra propuesta para el board es que necesitamos una respuesta. Yo sé que ahorita no va a ser, ahorita no van a dar una respuesta, pero no sé si en los siguientes días me pudieran hacernos llegar una contestación. ¿Cuál es la postura del board, de nuestra escuela, de nuestra institución, que confiamos mucho en nuestros oficiales que nos ayudan? La verdad está complicada la cosa. Otra cosa, estamos viendo que se va a hacer un aumento a todos, a los profesores del 3% y a nosotros del 2%. El sueldo de nosotros es de los más bajos. Aparte, no trabajamos 8 horas al día, nosotros trabajamos 4 horas al día nada más, lo que hace todavía más complicada nuestra situación. Por favor, nos hemos portado muy bien, trabajamos durante el COVID, trabajamos muy duro, fuimos la cara que dimos la comida a la gente, lo hicimos con mucho cariño, lo hicimos con mucho profesionalismo. y no tenemos nosotros la ventaja del social distancing. La gente que pasa en nuestro camión está a solo 4 pulgadas de nosotros. Es todo. Gracias por escucharme.
Gracias. ¿Tu nombre?
Leonel Ortega, a sus órdenes.
Thank you, Mr. Ortega.
Board, anybody? We'll do the presentation first.
Yes. Good evening, President Coronado, board members, Dr. Galaviz. I'm here this evening to talk to you about our compensation for our next school year. Basically, we've provided you the information. I invited Luz Cadena from TASB, and she is our analyst that does assist us with our compensation every year. And that I want to thank her for being here after 2 years that I didn't see her.
She got glasses.
So she's here this evening with us to help us with the presentation. We were tasked by Dr. Galaviz to look at compensation for next year. Initially, our recommendation here has been a 3%, is a 3% for teachers and a 2% for all other staff. We have had, or I've had discussions with Dr. Galaviz and Mr. Karski. We've looked at it. You know, there might be some other options, but right now, the conservative option that we are presenting is the 3% for teachers and 2% for all the others. I do want to say, before I turn the mic over to Luz, that this is a critical year. I mean, in years past, I know that sometimes the district has done without giving our employees raises, and we've been okay with that. But this year, given the situation and the conditions, the economic conditions, inflation, as was mentioned, it is critical that our employees receive a general pay increase. I know that we have other needs that are going to come to the table. I understand the importance of our deferred maintenance, of our the other the learning gaps that we need to cover. I understand all of that, and I think that's important. However, I do want to say, and these are my 2 cents as the Chief Human Resource Officer, that this coming year, our priority should be our employees. And brick and mortar can wait, but we can certainly work on trying to address those needs. But again, given the fact that we have multiple vacancies, I can tell you that right now I was looking at our vacancy report. I'm looking at 25 to 30 vacancies in teaching. I'm looking at probably, just last week, we lost 4 individuals in the maintenance department. We're missing a plumber. We have different needs of staffing that if we don't do anything with our salaries, we're going to be hurting as far as being able to recruit personnel that we need and being able to remain competitive with the other area districts. I understand in talking to Luz and hearing from my other colleagues in the HR area for other districts, they are contemplating a significant increase. And so I would hate that, Canadillo has done certainly some strides in moving forward and being competitive, and I would hate to lose that pace. And certainly, again, because of the economic situation, normally I'm competing with other districts in the area. I feel now that not only am I competing with other districts in the area, but also competing with private industry. We've been short on custodians all year long. Again, I'm competing with the McDonald's, with the Walmarts, that are paying a much higher hourly wage than what we offer.
So I think there's a huge need to address the pay this coming year. And having said that, I'd like to now turn over to Luz.
Welcome, Ms. Cadena. Nice to see you.
Thank you. It's always nice to be back. I love it. Thank you. I have missed being able to be on site, right, face to face. So it's a great opportunity. So again, thank you, Board President, Board members, Dr. Galavis. Thank you so much for having me here. So we are going to briefly do an overview of the pay maintenance process that we've been conducting, where you stand, and some recommendations. We'll start with the first page, which is really the list of peer districts that we have been using. These are consistently the same area peer districts that we compare year pay to the median values of these peer districts. We use the median value comparison for statistical purposes because the median value does not get influenced by outliers, as would an average comparison be. We also utilize, we purchased 2 third-party salary surveys. One is the Economic Research Institute, and the other one is a comp analyst survey. And we combine the non-school market data with the school survey data for positions that we know exist outside of education, as the ones that Martha mentioned, as well as technology, as well as some secretarial accounting type positions, because you just don't compete with other school districts for those jobs. You compete with every other employer in the area. So the next slide is really how the district compares as far as teacher pay to the market median. The orange line is the district at each of the 5-year intervals. So you can see that the teacher pay is above the market median at 0, 5, slightly above at 10, pretty much spot on at that 15-year mark, and a slight dip at that 20-year mark. It's $427 below, 1% below the market median. The district has really done, a great job. The board, kudos to the board for really being proactive in ensuring that teacher pay has been competitive for the district and making those adjustments that we needed to make. The next slide is really the dollar values to the graph, that line graph that we just saw. As I mentioned, starting teacher pay is 1% above, that's $763. You were 1% above at that 5-year mark. Right at market at 10 and 15 years, and then that 1% below, which is $427 below the market median. Average teacher salaries are right at the market median values. Overall, that looks good. But again, keep in mind that this is this year comparison. And we know these numbers are going to change. As Martha noted, other area districts are in the process. They're in the same budget cycle process as you are, and they're considering pay increases. I'm working with several of those districts, and the general pay increases that are being considered are from 3% to above 3% for the employees. So if anything, if less than 3% is done, that would make the district slide a little bit in the marketplace as far as market position, given what I've heard from the other districts that they're considering. But this next slide is really the actual salary data of the 8 peer districts, sorted from the highest paying at the 0-year salary to the lowest paying. So you've got Flint ISD with the $55,000 starting salary, and Fabens with the lowest at $51,900, not far off from Cornelio ISD here.
So the blue line there is the median. So I talked about the median value, and that's where that median value would be, and you are above that median value, as I mentioned, at 1% above. So that orange line indicates where you fall based on this ranked order of peer districts at that starting salary. Okay. All right, so we're going to also look at your teaching area stipends, and your stipends really are competitive, with most of them either matching the market level or exceeding the market, with the exception of the ESL dual language, which is $500 below the median stipend. But your stipends continue to be competitive with your peer districts. What we anticipate for next year is that we're going to see an increase of maybe a sign-on bonus by many districts because of the difficulties and the challenges with finding quality candidates, particularly in the hard-to-fill areas, teaching areas, where we may see that signing bonus stipend cycle through again as a result of the conditions that are out there right now in the workplace. So this next slide is really how your other pay groups compare overall on average to the market, as well as how your current midpoint values, which are reflective of your structure, your pay ranges. And we focus in on the midpoint because the midpoint is what we keep you connected to market. As long as we've got that midpoint anchored to the market median values, your pay ranges remain competitive. And we set those competitive starting rates, and I'll talk a little bit more about the importance of starting rates as they've been, but how much more critical they're going to be during this time frame. So when we look at central administration positions and how you compare to market, overall you're at 96% of market for 12 positions, district jobs that we've matched to our survey jobs. The midpoint values for these 12 positions are at 97% of market, indicating that your structures are, okay, we do some tweaking, make some adjustments, but we don't want pay to slip or drop beyond where we are now. Campus administration, of course, this includes your principals, assistant principals, your counselors. There's 9 jobs that we matched to our survey jobs. And overall, the market value here is 95% of market, with those midpoint values being at 1% above. Professional, these are your accountant, social worker, the other administrative professional jobs. There's 20 of these district jobs that we've matched to market, and overall that group is at 94% of market. So for pay comparison, aside from teachers, where we want to be as close to market as we possibly can, if pay is close to within a 10% of market variance, we consider that to be somewhat within a competitive range of pay based on the incumbent's experience levels. And you can see that for the most part, the group overall as an average is. But on an individual basis within each one of these comparison groups, you may have a couple of jobs that may be more than 10% below, with maybe some being a little bit more above the median comparison or average comparison of the group. Your technology group, while at 92% of market, is the one that's the least competitive to the market overall at 92%. That's 8% below the median value, with the midpoints at 99% of market. We know that there's 4 jobs, in this group. So of course, a smaller number of jobs is going to reflect the percentage change is going to be greater for those jobs. But we know that technology values are change much faster in the marketplace because of the skill set of technology. Then the next 3 categories are your non-exempt employee groups. So administrative support,
at 98% on average. That's 17 positions. The midpoints are at 2%, and then what we start capturing here is how do your entry rates on average compare to the market median entry rates. This is going to be very critical next year. We're going to see next year, because of the external pressures that we're seeing now, and districts increasing those starting rates of pay or increasing the floor of pay for the lowest level jobs, that while some districts seem to be competitive in paying now for entry rates, that's going to change for next year. Got lots of districts moving their starting rates of pay as a result of many factors, and we'll talk about that. Instructional support, 98% of market, 4% above. The midpoint structure, 1% above starting rates of pay, and there's 5 positions in that category. Then your auxiliary, of course this is your custodial, your food service, maintenance jobs, 98% market comparison. Midpoints are 5% above, where your starting rates of pay are a little bit more competitive for this group here, but we have some lower level jobs that we would like to recommend or are recommending for improvement in starting rates of pay. So I'm going to move on to the recommendations here. And basically we start off with our general recommendation, which is to implement the pay structure adjustments to align with market. What I mean by this is that we've reconnected your pay ranges, not only the midpoints to market, but we've adjusted the pay range minimums. So this would be, improved starting salaries for teachers, as well as for the other pay groups. And again, as I mentioned, those external pressures that we're seeing from the economic situation that we're facing, to the inflation levels that we're seeing, to the employee shortages, where you can't find the employees out there to fill some of these positions. So again, improved pay structures. The recommendation that I have here is really a 3% for teachers and a 2% for all other job groups. Now, for teachers, we're going to take a look at the proposed model there, and we can see what that 3% looks like. Just for information purposes, though, when we calculate the pay increase for teachers, we're calculating the 3% by using the median average salary of teacher pay within your peer group. For your other pay groups, we calculate that percentage based on the range midpoint value. For teachers, the reason that we do that process is that we keep your pay increases and your teacher pay connected back to the market by using the average teacher salary or that median average teacher salary in your group. So what a 3% general pay increase model would look like is the next slide here. And you can see that the 3% would be calculated based on the average teacher salary in your peer group. That would equate to $1,740. We're recommending a $56,050 starting salary. And so to ensure that year 1 is higher than year 0 and year 2 is higher than year 1, there are some additional adjustments that are necessary, as you can see under that additional adjustment column, to ensure that the salary levels are higher as the years go up than the previous year above it. In total, the average teacher increase with not only the general pay increase of $1,740 plus the adjustments for this group overall is about a 3.9% when we incorporate these additional adjustments as well as that general pay increase. Now, your schedule doesn't extend to only 10 years. I'm using this for illustration purposes. Okay, it extends to 25 years.
This next page, we can see the dotted green line. As you can see that, it really shows where the proposed schedule would fall, given not only the current hiring schedule that you have, but relative to the current market median values. As I mentioned, the area districts will be giving a pay increase. The majority of those that I'm working with are running numbers, and so while this green proposed line shows that it's pretty competitive and above market, that's current market, and we know the market's going to move very likely by about 3% in the area, at least 3%, given what we're hearing from the other districts. So the other recommendations that we have here are, as I mentioned, we've adjusted the structures, new ranges, adjusted pay range minimum. We are recommending increasing the rate of pay for the lowest level pay grades for your auxiliary and instructional support to $12 an hour. Currently, your auxiliary is at $10.75 an hour. When we increase it to $12 an hour, that's a 14.2% adjustment in that starting rate of pay. For your instructional support, they're at $11.20 an hour. Increasing it to $12 is a 7% adjustment for them. Your administrative support, these are, of course, your clerical, your campus clerks, your receptionists, $13 an hour starting rate of pay. Currently, they're at $12.11 starting, so that would be a 7% adjustment. Your auxiliary would be receiving the largest adjustment in the starting rate of pay. Okay. We're also recommending an increase to your bus drivers. The area for this coming school year, we are seeing the starting rates of pay increasing towards at least $17 an hour, and El Paso has already approved that, and so we are recommending increasing bus driver pay to $17 an hour from your current $15.75. That's an 8% adjustment in pay for bus driver starting pay. There are additional adjustments that are being recommended from teacher pay equity adjustments, just to ensure that those on the teacher career path, such as your assistant principals, counselors, that they're not paid less than what they would make as a teacher. So we always double check that. That's what we refer to as the teacher pay equity adjustments. And then for any employees that continue to be paid below 90% of the new range midpoint, after the pay increase has been applied, we recommend an additional 1% of midpoint increase. And this is just to move their pay a little bit faster through the range, since they're the ones that are really, they're concentrated in the lower part of the range, being below 90% of market. We also applied some placement scale adjustments for the first few pay grades of the auxiliary, the clerical support, the instructional support, as we were raising that starting rate of pay considerably to address the pay compression that happens as we raise the floor. We bring up the starting rate to $12 an hour. Let's say for your auxiliary, the starting rate right now is $10.75, and so if someone's making $11.50 an hour and they've got 5 years, we raise the start to $12 an hour, and they just come up to $12 an hour. We've just compressed the pay of someone with 0 years and someone with 5 years. So the placement scales begin to spread the pay a little bit out for those that have more experience, right? It's not a big change that the pay differentials get compressed, but there is a separation in pay, and we continue to value experience a little bit. So, costs. As I mentioned, the cost that we have here is based on that 3% model and 2% general pay increase. The cost for the 3% increase is $1,417,618. That's a 2.7% increase, and then there's those adjustments that I talked about from teachers,
adjustments to ensure that people are paid at least 1% above the new minimum, the placement scale adjustments, the teacher equity adjustments, the adjustments for those continuing to be paid below 90% of the new midpoint value. And you can see that for the most part, teachers and auxiliary are receiving the largest adjustments for improving the ranges and getting them into those improved ranges. So that's $508,292 for a total cost in this model of 1.7 million plus. That's a 3.8% increase to your current payroll budget. The current payroll budget is $45.4 million. So that's the cost that I have here based on this 3% teachers, 2% non-teachers.
Okay. Thank you, Luz. Obviously, we want to, you're kind of, we've been all about taking care of our employees, and that's why we started many years ago to do this. This year, unfortunately, though, the community doesn't want that. How do we reconcile that with the community's vote on our bonds? Martha, how much money would we have moved over from the to the INS for the computers that the community did not pass? Martha?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that question?
Yeah, how much money are we paying on our funds for the maintenance tax notes that the community voted not to move them over to the INS side?
The annual payment's about 1.2.
How much of a raise could we have given our employees of 1.2 million, Martha?
Well, what we're recommending right now is the 1.7, and it's at the 3%.
If we had another 1.2 million, what could we do?
We could probably do a 4%. A 4% would be $2.3 million.
We could do more than that, right? Yeah. We could do like 5 or 6%, right? But the community said no, right? Yep. And no to the bond, because now we're going to have to spend, how much money are we going to have to spend towards the deferred maintenance that would have been in the bond issue, Martha?
Well, and that's the question. So if I could just summarize the part of the budget.
Yeah.
When we looked at, we said that if we increased the attendance to 96, that gave us an additional 1.1 million.
Right.
And then we looked at the 4 extra days that we had in fund balance that would still keep us above the 90. That was 730,000. Okay.
That gives us the budget for the 1.7 that Lewis and Martha recommended.
Correct. Normally that's our budget year. That's normally how we do it. But then, like you said, this year we're having to, I have somebody over here yanking for
extra money. Yeah,
right,
for our roofs. How much money do they want?
Like 6 million.
6 million? That knocks out the entire raises, doesn't it? Board? Do you have any questions? That's where we find ourselves, right? I don't know, that's pretty tough.
That's when Martha said she was competing with other districts and with private industry, she didn't say she's also competing with facilities.
And there's another thing that you guys are talking about, central office, gotta move.
Not yet.
Well, we gotta make plans, Searles.
No, they told us not to move, not to sell, to do nothing. We got the word from them in bold print. Do not move. Do not take any action or we will lose financially. So that's incorrect. We don't need to move quickly.
Well, not quickly, but we're gonna have to start setting aside money when we do have to move.
Pretty sure we'll sell the building or get money for it, and I don't think that should be combined. And
you're awfully optimistic
about
replacing this, getting the money from this building and putting another one and not having to spend any money. You really think that's going to happen?
I
don't.
I'm a
I don't.
full glass person.
Not what our architects and our experts are telling us. That's not, Martha, correct me if I'm wrong, is that the presentation we got from our architects?
The new central office, I wanna say, is gonna be close to 30 million, but.
Right. You think we're gonna get 30 million for this building? Professionally and objectively.
So we had appraisal done, and it came in at 4 million.
Yeah.
But that's significantly past, that's older. It's not a new appraisal, but at any rate, I don't think that's what we're talking about.
That's exactly what we're talking about. Exactly with the future of financial security of the district. Exactly what we're talking about.
Working here, we're not going to have much of a district.
Well,
we've got to take care of our employees.
I know we do. I would like to give them even more, but the community told us no.
But that's not right to guilt trip them.
It's not a guilt trip. It's not. I'm sorry. It's not a guilt trip. It's reality.
It's reality.
It's reality. That's the reality of it. That people did not understand that. That's the reality. How do you? I mean, we've been here trying to do that. That's why we hired Luz. For the last how many years have we been giving more raises than the rest of the region, Luz? How many? And we brought our Trinity up to the top level.
I've been working with the district for more than 10 years.
More than 10 years we've been doing this.
You have steadfast, been steadfast.
Of course we take our employees and we take care of Ms. Rhodes.
And I think we have to continue to.
I know we have to continue. It's just that community's not going along with us. And, you know, the people out there, women, can campaign against the bond, but that's what they said. You don't want that. You don't want to continue what you're doing. That's the reality of it. I would like to give them a 5% raise.
I'm on board with that.
Excuse me?
I'm on board with that.
Yeah, me too. I'm on board with that.
And Martha's correct. I mean, yes, we are competing also internally with the district needs. But as I mentioned before, I don't believe that we want to shoot ourselves in the foot because in doing that, you know, taking into consideration the current situation that we're living in with the inflation and you know, the staffing shortages that we're having throughout the state, not only here in El Paso or here in this district, but throughout the state. And so because of that, you know, we've got to be a little bit more competitive than we've been in the past. I mean, we've done some great strides along the years, as Lucis mentioned, but we can't lose that now.
We're with you.
And on top of that, I mean, I'm with you with the fact that we do need a new central office building in the future, that we do need to repair roofs, that we do need deferred maintenance, but what are we going to do? And we had this discussion at Cabinet, you know, to do maintenance work, you know, get the money to do the maintenance work. But I know Bruno has lost about 5 people just in the last couple of weeks. So, you know, he's also competing with, you know, private industry. Like I said, even McDonald's and Walmart are paying more an hour per hour. And, you know, some of those in the trades that are going to work in the oil fields and are going to work again for private industry are making a lot more money than we can offer. And so,
exactly why I would want 5% for us.
And so again, you know, by losing the staff that we're losing, Dr. Galaviz asked me a question, are you worried about, you know, people resigning? I'm not worried about people resigning. I'm worried about finding replacements. And if we can't afford to replace the people that we lose, then who's going to be there to do the deferred maintenance or to do the maintenance work? I mean, we're not going to have the staffing. Like I said, right now, here on my position status report, I'm looking at 25 to 30 teacher vacancies.
Yeah.
That I will not be able to fill. I guarantee you that, because we've had trouble filling some of the teaching positions that were offered through the ESSER money. And so here again, you want to close the gap. ESSER money is there. And so I'm thinking that this year is an exception. That this year we need to look at it as an exception. And if we have money, and again, this is just me speaking, if we have money that we can use from fund balance, if we have money that we can use from ESSER, that is something that we need to employ, or a tactic that we need to use this current year to be able to maintain our staffing levels and to not fall so far behind in the competitive advantage that we have with other districts.
I'm with you to use the ESSER fund. I'm not with you to use fund balance. I'm sorry. That is off limits. To me, that's off limits. I'm sorry. That's not going to happen. Not my vote, because I don't want to we've already put the district in jeopardy in terms of our financial rating because of what happened with the bond not passing. We've already done that. That's jeopardized our being able to borrow at a lower rate.
So as Martha has stated,
correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
So in the past, what we've done is that we've always brought the raises for you all, for the board to make a decision in the month of May. And then, of course, we work to implement. There's a lot of work that needs to be done behind the scenes to implement. Then, of course, then the budget comes and they do their magic and bring it to you in the month of June. So I guess for this evening, I would need to, that you all would provide me the guidance as to what we're going to do here. Because if this is something that is not totally off the table, then you need to let me know. If we're going to move forward with at least with the recommendation that we have, then I need to know, so that we can go ahead and start implementing and doing the work behind the scenes. Takes about 30 days. So we need this time frame, and that's why we've always done it in May, so that our payroll is ready to run as of July.
Okay. Kristen, what's your position?
So I do agree. I think we're in a shitty spot, right, to be in. But the community didn't pass the bond that passed in the past, right? But we can't, in my opinion, we can't sacrifice teachers, because even if, or staff, just because, like when Martha said, Martha P. Martha's. So what Martha C said was that Bruno lost 5 guys recently, right? So even if we give him the facilities team the budget of the $6 million, right? What are they going to do with it if they're missing 5 other guys, right? In my opinion. So I think that it is an exception we have to make. I don't know about the fund balance touching it, but at least the recommendations being made to us, we should go with them, even if at a later, because correct me if I'm wrong, but at the budget meeting, even if we approve it here at the budget meeting, we can still go and go back on that one, right? Or not go back, that's a bad way to phrase it, but not approve it.
Not compensation.
Not compensation, yeah.
No, so once compensation is approved, if it's approved this evening, then we will move forward with our press release and we will move forward with the implementation of that. That gives finance a better picture when they're bringing their numbers to you next month. Because now they will have solid numbers to go with, because now we're implementing what you all approved this evening. Martha?
Right, everything we're looking at is an estimate, and of course, compensation is around 85 to 86% of the budget. So once we get that in place, it's much easier to do the rest of the work. But back to your comment on the fund balance, it's only the days above 90 that we're looking at. The board's policy is to maintain 90 days worth of fund balance. And so we only ever look at those days above 90.
And in your opinion, is that doable with the recommended path we want to take that was presented to us right now? keep it at that 90, if you're
Right,
take from it.
and so in your budget presentation, you have a calculation there where we're showing what we estimate, breaking even this year with a slight positive, and we're using those extra 4 days for next year. Because we went through the pain before of building the fund balance. And so now that we've built it, we've achieved the target of 90 days, we're trying to maintain that. And that is one of the things that the rating agencies will definitely look at.
So, and then again, my thing is, with this whole thing, everything moving, everything budget, we're not in an ideal spot, so I think there has to be some type of trade-off, and I think that the community did speak. But I think that our priority, yes, is the students, but the only way to reach the students is through the teachers and the staff and the people who make the school district run. So my opinion, especially with the way the economic system is right now, to keep the talent we want to hire, and we have to do it that way. That's the trade-off, you know, in my opinion. Community spoke, and I think that now that they spoke, we have to prioritize teachers and staff over opportunity for the students. And I think that's where the community spoke, they said it, and I think that's the trade-off that I want to go for.
Okay, thank you, Tristan. Patsy.
First of all, I wanted to thank Ms. Cadena for assisting us with this pay scale for so many years. When you first came to us, Ms. Cadena, we didn't trust you that much. But throughout the years, you've proven your worth to kind of feel, and I'm sure you do that to all the districts you serve. That said, I'm in line with Tristan, with Mr. Hernandez. I think that we are in a terrible spot, and these are crazy, crazy times. And the community spoke. You're correct, President Coronel, that the community spoke, and where does that leave us? Well, Canutillo, I think, has always taken care of its employees, and I know through your leadership of many years, you have guided us in that direction, that we took care of our teachers foremost and our employees, our auxiliary. And so I'm of the mind that if Ms. Pikarski's opinion is that it's a doable recommendation, and I say, let's do it.
Ms. Searles.
I move to approve what's been recommended by administration.
May I speak? Correct, you're correct. The bond not passing. But don't be surprised, again, I know we often had the community, those that are listening. This is just this year. It really is. This is a this year, an exception. We have extra money. And you can tell the meeting we had, Kat, we all had different perspectives. Go for it. Let's go for it. Can we afford it? Arnie's like, hell yeah, I'm retiring. So we had a very lively discussion about, because again, and again, if you look at, I know we're not talking about the maintenance tax note, 1.2, the potential doing a PFC with central office is going to be 3.6 coming out of our daily budget, which is, and you don't spend your money. Good school districts, good communities realize that you use your long-term debt. That's fine to afford that. So again, don't be surprised, we're going to come back again, because as I looked at the Canutillo ethics behind me, I talked about commitment to service, stewardship, character, conduct, equity, and being student-centered, but also being employee-centered. Because employees are at the heart of this district. And also, when I go around the district and I shake these bus drivers' hands and the cafeteria ladies and the custodians, and realize gas is going up. Things going up. Price of milk, groceries, You know, and like MC said, to initially, you know, again, the voters did say, hey, no raise. Once I said no raise, they said, take care of your buildings. You know, we could have had the safe, secure entrances. Now they're talking about the Uvalde, audacity, some of talking about safety and security when some of them voted against the bond. So, but again, I can't let that negativity stop the optimism of making sure that we're taking care of our employees. And I know we talked in right before this meeting again, had a lively discussion. And we talked about 4%. Can we afford it? Yeah, we can. So, I mean, I would like to do 4% and 3%, just to maintain, to give something to our employees. Again, gas is going up, groceries are going up, especially with inflation and shortages. So, I know the bond didn't pass, but again, but we're gonna come back again. And I'm looking at everyone in blue, we're gonna come back again as a community, and we're gonna push. And I want them to know this is just this year. We're gonna make sure we're gonna take care of you. That's my recommendation. Take care of, especially the ones in blue, take care of drive our kids every day. Make sure, trust you. But I'm bound by those ethics. That's what I have to say.
So amend my motion for 4 and 3.
That's your motion? Okay. 4 and 3?
I'll follow the administration's recommendation. And
I have a question, Bruno.
Yes, sir.
What's the minimal you really need this year to get us by? I mean, I know you want 6 million. There's dire stuff we gotta cover, but
You have to consider that this is the second time that the recommendations of the facility master plan was no action taken on. So we're 10 years behind schedule. If I were to get my budget for the year, not just to address what's broken now, but what's been broken for several years already, that's $5 million a year. I get, in reality, I get, less than $500,000 for operating, money that we can use to buy materials and swing hammers.
and that was part of the bond, right?
Some of the projects, of course, yes, this recent facilities master plan picked up on deficiencies that we've been carrying since the previous facilities master plan done in 2016.
I wish the board was as united about giving the raises and stuff and about passing the bond.
So I have
to alleviate that so we could give them a raise.
I have a heroic and dedicated team of, people doing work. But, we're building quilts on rooftops, we have too many patches.
Oh, I get it.
But your team is also dwindling, right?
Your team is dwindling.
It's arm wrestle. With what Bruno said, I'm not for 4%, 3%, I'm sorry. But I don't know if the rest of the board is.
Is there a second?
Is there a second?
Then
No second.
I'll restate that to the 3 and 2%. And what I did see was that within that, on the 3 and 2% that we got in our budget plan, we did not have bringing up to market and compressing, I think was your word, some of the salaries. You've done that, and it's a little bit more, looks like about an extra $20,000.
You know what? My position is that I think we ought to do 3 and 3 rather than 4 and 2.
I second that.
Because I think our bus drivers need a little bit more help. And I think our auxiliary needs a little bit more help. But you know what? Next year, we can't continue with this if the community keeps telling us no, and the board is not united on this. I'm sorry, Mr. Rose, but you voted against the going up for bond on items, or specifically with Bruno needs. And now you want to give it away when we could have used that. You know, that just doesn't sound, you know, in line. It doesn't. I'm sorry, but the reality of it is that we're missing millions of dollars that we could have put in the bond for deferred maintenance, and now we have to deal with it. Now we got dilapidated buildings that are going to even cost us more down the road, and we can't give our employees raise because of that. That's the reality. That's the reality of what people don't understand. And next year we're going to have, you know, a bigger problem if we don't pass the bond. Is that correct? Pedro? Yes, sir. Sorry to call you Pedro. Right?
I don't think I single-handedly did any of that.
Oh.
I'm sorry, but
No, you
I
did,
once
but-
again with the guilt trip, I
But you
can't.
helped this, sir.
How do you know that?
Well, you voted against it.
How do you know that?
Because you voted against it in the meeting. You voted against it. Well,
Because I thought it was the proper amount, but that's not what's on the agenda.
no, it's not.
And
But
apparently
it's the
Our
consequence of that that's
community
on the agenda.
apparently must have felt like I felt too. So don't forget that part, please.
Okay. No, I understand that. I'm just saying that I hope that the board is united on these issues and the bonds in the future and the community as we are now about taking care of our employees.
We need to give them trust. And I don't think they trust this board, and it's for good reason. So
Well-
with that, I move to, I'll second your motion if that's what you had to say.
I move for a 3% raise.
So 3% across the board.
Yeah.
And I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion on the item?
With the adjustments that were made by Ms. Cadena.
Yes, including the adjustments. Is that the recommendation, right?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. So I will amend my motion to 3 and 3 with including the adjustments that were presented by both Ms. Cadena and Martha. And you second that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any further discussion? Tristan?
I do have a comment.
Yes.
I just would like to say that even if the bond isn't, if we go for another one, right, which what I'm hearing is that we probably are, even if that one's not passed, I would not feel comfortable sacrificing teacher and staff raises for this upcoming, not this one, but the next year, if it doesn't pass. But I would like to make it very clear that I do think that if we have to keep giving the raises so we can keep getting qualified applicants, good people doing good work here in the district. But if that bond doesn't pass, we're losing opportunities for students. So yes, I heard that a lot, that there's no trust with the board, but I do think that the community, if we don't pass that next bond, is just losing opportunities for our students. So less so trust, because I think there's ways we can handle that. It's more we're losing opportunities for our students so we can compensate our staff effectively and keep our qualified teachers and staff here. That's my opinion on it. It's not for discussion, it's just a comment before we vote on this.
All right. Patsy? All right, Ms. Searles? All right. Jessica, pull the board.
Mr. Gordon,
Yes?
Mr. Hernandez,
Yes.
Ms. Mendoza,
Yes.
and Ms. Searles.
Yes, go Eagles.
Thank you, board.
Okay, let's see. That takes care of the agenda item on 7C. Next agenda item, Jessica.
Item 8, adjournment, time is 7:27 p.m.
All right, we are adjourned by unanimous consent of the board. We are adjourned.
Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Very